Greetings, shippers. Welcome back, and it's time for another episode of Fanversations. This time we're talking to my longtime friend Nabil about a topic near and dear to us: gaming and shipping inside of games. For yes, despite evidence to the contrary, I do indeed game. Sometimes I live stream it every now and again. It's a thing. It happens sometimes. We filmed this one a while ago, so I'm really thrilled to finally be able to get it out there. Enjoy some of the older references. Follow me on social media to stay up to date with everything that I'm doing, videos that I'm working on, and stuff that's coming out. And of course, hit that bell notification so you never miss a vid. Now, without further ado, as these videos are already long enough, let's dive into this episode of Fanversations. Greetings, shippers. I'm Sasha from Shipper's Guide, here with
Nabil.
Do you have anything you want to pimp out? Just
honestly, just my name. Like if you want to, just add me on Facebook later or whatever. But
all right, and you're here to improve my gaming cred because I don't talk about gaming a lot, so I get all those comments that are essentially, "Do you even game, bro?" And it's like I do, just not as much as I used to, but I still do. Yeah. So we're gonna talk about shipping in games, what it's like, and how it can sometimes affect how you play. So you were telling me, what are you shipping in the games you're playing right now?
Well, right now, like a really big one for me was Persona 5, if you've heard of it. So like half the game is a dating sim. Like the game like opens itself up to like it ships itself in a way, because there's like 8 or 9 girls that you could date like over the span of a year. Mm-hmm. And what I found interesting about the game is that it doesn't play favorites. So it introduces you to each girl and kind of shows you what their positives and their negatives are. Mm-hmm. And going forward from there, it's whatever you like about the individual that allows you to get with them or go on dates with them. So if I were to say I don't like these 8 other people, and I'm interested in this one girl, I think I picked this girl. Her name was Anne, and I picked her just basically because she was the first girl you met, so you spent the whole year with her. And so I ended up going out with her, and I didn't really go out with any of the other girls. Mm-hmm. And what was interesting about it is they still presented credible cases for me maybe going out with the other girls later on. Like they still presented me with things I was interested with. Yeah, and I stuck to that one girl.
Did it increase your desire to play the game again, maybe, and see how different it was with the other girls, or were you just like, nope, I've made my decision?
Yeah, because the thing is, when you're playing an anime game, you're more than likely hooking up with like 18-year-olds. Yeah. So like I played it that way to begin with, mm-hmm. But then like I think the second playthrough I actually did insert myself into the character because he's kind of a blank slate. Mm-hmm. So I dated the teacher who was like 25, and I dated I think a doctor who was like I dated like an alcoholic journalist who was like 23 or something. And I think the second time I played it, I mm-hmm. actually was able to play it more my speed. And go at my own pace and actually pick out a character that I liked. Mm-hmm. The first time around, it was just me like trying to understand what was going on.
That's a good point. So like when you're playing a game, say like Mass Effect or something, or anyone where there's a default like character that you can play as or slightly customized, how like inserted into it are you normally? Is it more like I'm playing and I am this character, or is it like this is a character that I am playing as kind of thing?
For me, like the more they are a blank slate, the more I can fill myself into the character. Mm-hmm. But then when I'm looking back at it, I don't think that's really good character development either. It's just like kind of you development, like you're already there. It's just like you're like Link from Legend of Zelda. That's you, like. And same thing with Shepard from Mass Effect to a certain degree, right? Did you feel that way?
A little bit, but I kind of played it more like how I would want to play it, but then I found, especially with the Paragon Renegade system, that my guilt wouldn't let me play the options that I wanted to sometimes. Yeah. Like sometimes I wanted to be like, yeah, just burn them all, leave them to the ground. I'm like, no, but I can't do that. Yeah. I felt bad, even though I wanted the really cool scars, but you only got those by being evil, so I didn't get those.
I really I don't know what I was doing wrong, but I think in Mass Effect 2, like I found Drac like incredibly hot. Yeah. So I really like tried to hook up with her, and for some reason it just didn't happen. And I ended up like sleeping with like a gay navigator guy. think it was his name was Jacob or something.
Yes, Jacob.
Yeah, it's just like, why? I didn't plan any of this.
That's how I felt in the first one, when your choices were Caden and Ashley, essentially, and I was like, well, Ashley's a racist, so I don't like her.
And Caden's like hospital bound the whole time, right?
Caden was so boring. I didn't care, but the game was just kind of like, well, you kind of default picked Caden, and I was like, I guess I did.
I pick myself.
I know, right?
Or that like that AI on the ship.
Yeah, I know.
I thought she was interesting.
Here's a question. Here's a question for you. So, with games like Mass Effect, Dragon's Age, and more so as they come out, the characters have set sexualities that are part of their characters, and so you need to be of a certain sex to romance certain characters. Do you like that, or do you kind of wish it was more like God mode, where you can just go and do whatever you want, essentially? Because I'm so torn. I'm so torn.
I think I would prefer it if their sexualities were set, just because that's life in general. Yeah. Just like nobody's gonna bend their sexuality to your will.
But isn't that part of the fun of the game, though? That it's like a fantasy world, an escapist kind of world? Because I have full-on played games through again to get with a certain character. I don't know. My assumption, honestly, is maybe I'm not getting invested enough, is that they're just characters, and that if I like their character traits, then I can get with any of them. But I guess that's just me being. Maybe I played The Sims too long.
Yeah. I don't know.
Every game is The Sims.
I don't really know, because if I were to play through another a second time around, I think I would that's exactly what I would do. I romance anybody under the sun, anybody who would open themselves up to me. It's just because I want to explore every notion of the game after I've done the way I would play it.
Yeah.
And but yeah, I'm not 100% sure, but I think personally, I would rather the sexualities be set. It's just so that it makes it part of their character, I guess. And
you don't mind playing through again if you like them?
Yeah. And I put just as much stock in friendship as well. So it's just
sure.
In a lot of RPGs, when you do a second playthrough, you can explore other characters even if they're not relationship options.
Yeah.
So you can still learn a little bit more about them and try to understand them a little bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think again, I was going to. I actually wanted to speak on Final Fantasy 15.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, it was because they dealt with they had a straight love interest, right? But she's just the girl, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
She's there, and it almost doesn't matter that she's there, because the core relationship is actually about these four guys going on a road trip.
Yeah.
And they're in a car together, and that's it. That's your game. And they're talking to each other, making friends, talking about their feelings. And I thought that was the best part of it. Forget the relationship, forget the girl. The best part of it was when they were, talking about their fears with each other. And, later on, obviously, as the game goes on, because it's so long, they find out things about each other that, that could hurt them or whatever. And they learn to become a group. So by the time you get to the end of the game, you understand that this story, while there was a romance supposed to be there, it wasn't really about that. It was about these, four, I think, positive male relationships that we don't get to see too much of. The fangirls were real. I remember the massive shipping thing that started with that group. And that was one of the games where I was just it feels legit, because the romance doesn't matter. The girl did not matter. It was these four people that made the game.
Yeah, I feel like people's standards are so much higher now for characters that you can't just have the cardboard cutout stand-in character anymore. That really speaks to why they're so developed and why they have their own really set, say, sexualities, personality traits and stuff, because they are more well-rounded. Because I've definitely played games before where it's just one of those dating sims where she's just she's the hot older level girl, she's the freshman girl, and that's the extent of her personality.
Yeah, I think they get a couple of the dating sims I played, the girls are you have one answer and then they love you for it, and then that's it. There's no there's no nuance in between.
Oh yeah, the games where you can cheat if you just write down the answers every time. She was born in December, her favorite color is green, and it's I win.
Did the Sims deal in relationships as well?
Yeah, oh my gosh, The Sims is pretty much that's all it is. It's the game of life. It's the game of eventually you hit that point. I think if you play enough of why am I not living my own life? And like I think I hit that point when you could watch cat videos on your phone. I was like, I am playing as a person who is watching a cat video on
Because
their
all I
phone.
remember is watching you guys like build like a hillbilly country hick family or something.
Oh,
You guys
Kevin and
had
I.
like those torn up jeans and the shirt,
Kevin liked to make stereotypes, then stick them in like towns together.
and he gave them like a mullet.
Yes.
Which is, that was the best part of it. Like to be honest, like part of what I find interesting about some games
Hmm.
is you can tailor your own character to be you,
Hmm.
and you can meet characters that are like the people you'd care about in real life.
Hmm.
So that's what Mass Effect and Dragon Age and Persona 5 were to me.
So do you like when you have the option to tailor the character, do you make them look like you or like how do you do it?
Uh, okay, well in Dragon Age and Mass Effect you can,
Yeah.
but like I just go with whatever's appealing. Like to be honest, like I'll see the presets and I'll go from there.
Mm.
Like sometimes it's been a white girl, it could be like a white guy, black guy, whatever.
Hmm.
It was just I don't know, like whatever I felt like I identified with the most, like at the time.
Yeah, for me it's just whatever I feel I can make the most appealing character as based on the graphics, then I'll just go for that. Like I remember Dragon's Age, I think I was like an albino elf chick.
Yeah.
I was like a dark-skinned black lady in Mass Effect because I just thought that that voice sounded very like take chargey, and in my head that's what I imagined. So I was like, okay, we're going with this, and that's why also that's why I couldn't play through as default male Shepard. Like I liked how default male Shepard looked.
He was so bland.
His voice actor. No offense to that guy, I hear he got a lot better, but I couldn't take it. I like because he's talking, and I was just like, I can't.
So did you play as female Shepard?
Yeah, I played as female Shepard. Like I really wanted to go through again as male Shepard and Captain Kirk at Across the Galaxy, but his voice acting.
Yeah, no, I played as female Shepard as well. Like I can,
Hmm.
like as soon as I saw that guy on the logo, I was like, oh, it looks too bland. Like I really don't want. Well, that's the point of these games, right? Like you kind of have like a like a standard, and then you go from there. I think.
Yeah. I think that's part of why
I think.
people were so mad about Andromeda because it was really hard in the first run of the character presets I found to make a character that I liked.
Yeah,
Like I had a really hard time.
I think Mass Effect people, you can speak better to this than I can. I have the game and I never played it, but yeah, like they have like this. I don't know. It felt like the facial animations were kind of off.
They were kind of
And
glitchy. I could have forgiven it because I mean, like I played Life is Strange, and for the first few episodes, it's not even synced. The audio's not even synced. So if the story had been good, I could have put
yeah,
aside the facial animations and other things. It would have been like, oh yeah, it's not quite complete, but the story is amazing. But it was kind
I
of
don't know. Like,
generic.
how do you feel about that? Like, I felt like Chloe was so toxic. She would, she was the. Like, I understand what she meant to the main character, and that's why I cared.
Yeah.
But then on the other hand, I'm like, Chloe's like getting me in trouble for her smoking marijuana, trying to like sneak me onto train tracks and kill me.
Yeah, I remember that choice where it's like either tell on her or take the blame yourself. And if you told, which I did because I'm a goody two shoes, I was like, it's her marijuana. Then she's all like, I can't believe you did that.
Yeah, right. And then the thing is, I took the blame,
Hmm.
and then like her dad like shat on me. And she didn't like defend me at all, and like she never said thank you or none. Yeah, no, just like I don't know, like particular, like I know there are a lot of people
Hmm.
who are into that relationship,
Yeah.
and there's an avenue where you can take, I think, where you actually do end up being with her, right? Because I don't think I saw it.
I don't remember. I've got to play through all my options again because I've got requests for that video, so I want to go through and make sure I have all the
Yeah.
animations and stuff that I want. And
Yeah, like I distinctly remember there being an option to make out with her, and I think I took it,
Mhm.
like if it was possible. But yeah, like I don't know, she was just way too toxic. She's like, eventually she's gonna do something stupid and get everybody and get you killed,
yeah, and you're gonna get really
or
hurt.
she's gonna get you in, yeah, or she's gonna get you in with another drug dealer and or whatever, right?
Yeah, do you feel like with games, because of the aspect of you're actually playing, and so you are inserted into the narrative in that level, do you find that it affects how you ship? Because I find that I definitely ship games way differently than I do shows, where I find that I don't project myself as hard onto, say, a TV show character, a movie character, but in a game, because I'm playing, I do tend to be a bit more involved and be like, well, oh, well, I wouldn't do that, so, and it affects how I kind of view a ship.
Yeah, like I think I was playing Fallout 3,
Mm-hmm.
and they have like some options where I think some people would take it. And for me, it was just like, no, like I'm too immersed in this. I don't want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
There's like a bit of a like at the beginning. I don't know if you've played it. Have you?
No, I've only played
Yeah.
4.
So what happened was in Fallout 3 was like at the beginning, you get this like giant like nuke in the middle of the city,
Mm-hmm.
and you have like the two blackest and whitest options ever. It was to either disarm the nuke
Mm-hmm.
or blow up the town and kill everybody. And like I've seen so many people like blow up the town and just murder everybody left and right. And I just couldn't do it. Like I was like, no, like this isn't what I want to do. This isn't me.
Sometimes I really wish I didn't feel that way. Because sometimes I'm like, why can't I just disassociate myself and go through and just make the worst decisions? I see people who play like that and it looks like they're having such a good time. And I'm like, I want to have a good time like that.
No, but I think it's because you've done what the game developers intended you to do, which was to put yourself in that character and what you wouldn't do and what you would do. Which is why I feel like if somebody's 100% invested and they're blowing up a town, then I'm like, I don't know how I feel about this. Like, nobody give these guys the nuclear codes. Yeah, so like that's how I feel about it. Like I 100% put myself into it, and I don't feel bad because it's me interacting with the world that they presented. A lot of open world games, what they do is they present you with a bunch of characters, and you're not forced to interact with them.
Yeah.
So like when I'm dealing with like a character I don't like, as opposed to a movie, I have to put up with them because they're there for whatever screen time they're there, and they're supposed to be there. Like if it's a character I don't like, I could just be like I'm done, I'm leaving, forget this. Like right, like that's how I feel about it. Like you're only as invested as you let yourself like be into it.
So out of curiosity, do you collect all the characters? Because I will collect characters I don't even like because I just feel I need them all on my team. I'm a
No, I
completionist
feel like
like
they
that.
would be. I feel like they would be irritating.
They are, but I need them all. I don't know, it's like a Pokemon mentality, like gotta collect them all.
But it's really hard to get me not to like somebody though. That's like that's my other thing.
What will make you dislike a character?
Oh, make me dislike a character. Honestly, I haven't really thought about it. Like okay, like if I were to dislike a character, they would have to be like incredibly whiny. Like I understand like people who have hang-ups and who complain about things like in games. That's what people do. Yeah, but I think like that's what would get me to dislike a character. Or somebody who just comes off as excessively, for lack of a better term, just mean.
Yeah, that bothers
Yeah.
me in characters where like they're just really like they're really snippy or overt sass, like sass to the
Yeah.
point where it's just ridiculous. Like every response is just so sassy and it's supposed to be like, so sassy. And I'm like, no, this is just really annoying. I don't
Yeah.
want to do this.
And also, I can't deal with like character motivation sometimes, like in certain games,
Like how so?
because they're so ready to like flip on a dime.
Like how so?
I think I dealt like okay. Well, I actually started playing Horizon Zero Dawn.
Okay.
And that's one of the things I really hated was that you're born, like from birth, you are like the most hated like thing in that damn village. Like everybody hates you. They're like, they can't wait to throw you out. The only reason they're not throwing you out is because of your dad. And then like when you're in your 30s, which is I think what the main character's age is, 20 or 30, you have to save everybody. Like you have to do the whole game basically to turn around and get everybody to like you. And I'm like, why? Why are you guys so like excessively mean? And I don't know, like it's stuff like that that's kind of annoying. I don't like having to prove myself to a character either.
So then
like-
you really wouldn't like Andromeda then, because that's like the whole thing. It's like you weren't supposed to be the leader, but now your father's dead, so you gotta prove yourself that you. But it's this weird dichotomy of you're supposed to prove that like you're worth it and that you can do his job, but then at the same
Yeah.
time everybody just kind of accepts you instantly, so you don't have
Yeah.
any real any real
So it's kind of like tacit.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh yeah, I sure did prove myself, I guess. No one really cared.
Right. It's kind of like that. I've been playing Persona 5 like all month.
Uh-huh.
It's kind of like that with one of the girls. Her name is Makoto.
Mm-hmm.
And what she does is she's like this really like snobby rich girl, like snobby girl type of thing, right?
Yeah.
Where she won't even hang out with you if you don't have like a $4 out of $5 drink. So like the game actually told me that like on her character sheet
Mm-hmm.
that she will not like even initiate a conversation with you if you're not smart enough yet. So I'm like no, I'm not dealing with this. Let's say, oh, sorry, like I got like a teacher over there who's into me. She's probably smarter. It just felt like, well, why would I bother like investing in with a character who clearly thinks less of me until I match them.
I find for me, like, I don't know, I enter that kind of, again, I'm a bit of a completionist. So I'm like, I've got to earn the levels and earn the points so that this person will talk to me. And then it's like, for me, it's like unlocking something, like unlocking an extra. It's like, oh, I unlocked her ability to talk to me.
Sucker for punishment, I guess.
How do you find that do you find you only ship RPGs or games that give you that option? Or do you ship other games where it's not really a thing?
I ship any game that I find has like a viable relationship. Do you also mean like games where there's an established relationship and you already like that? Is that?
No, I mean like games where that's just not the point at all. Like an Overwatch or something where you're just getting a bunch of characters together to go and do battle in an arena, but there's a huge shipping culture around it on the outside, even though in gameplay that has absolutely nothing to do with it, really.
Yeah, I think I can. But it has to have like some form of like reason behind it, because like you know, like even in Overwatch they have like 3 separate factions that are like mortal enemies or whatever, at least a couple, right?
There's a huge backstory, like there's all the time.
Yeah.
Oh, hold on a minute.
Simone?
I hear mystery knocking. Let me go figure that out. I got a package.
It's more editing for you.
I know, right? It's a surprise package. Where were we anyway?
Yeah, like now I'm lost. I think we were talking about Overwatch?
Yeah, we were talking about Overwatch and how it's got that huge like continuity of tie-in material that makes it easy, because I know that there are people who ship it who don't even play the game. Which,
oh, really?
Yeah, which is another aspect of shipping. There are people who ship things and they just get involved in the mythos and they don't play the game, even with Dragon's Age or Mass Effect and stuff like that, because there's so much of a mythology and information surrounding the material that you can get into it kind of without even playing the game itself for some people.
Yeah, well, yeah, but like I was saying with when it comes to a game like Overwatch, I think there's like 2 factions or something that really like work against each other. So I wouldn't like intermix people from like those 2 factions per se.
But what about the whole villains and heroes dynamic then?
I'm not sure. Like I'll say I'm not really into that lore. So like I would put like Torbjorn and maybe like Bastion together. Just like there's such an obvious fit. Like Bastion could be like Torbjorn's replacement for
I find that interesting, but I feel like it's only happening because there is such a big lore built up. It's not like a Call of Duty where it's just you're some nameless grunt running around shooting other nameless grunts, because then there's really, people who play Call of Duty are not going to like that description of Call of Duty.
Well, it's okay. I mean, that's kind of what it is. I mean, you're just some nameless grunt who respawns every like 20 seconds anyway.
No, it's serious business.
Yeah, like I don't. Yeah, Overwatch characters have like defined characteristics.
Yeah.
So I think that's why you can sort of match them together with other people.
I find they're also more individualistic because there's less of a self-insertion into those characters because they are so defined. Because the more backstory you give a character, the less you can potentially identify with it. I'm like, well, I'm not a cybernetic cowboy, so
Yeah. No, I don't know. Like, maybe how much you relate to a group of characters kind of depends on the type of person you are as well. Like, who you can match together with somebody. Well,
that's a good question, actually. Just in the general ethos of shipping, do you only ship people you identify with?
I only ship people I like. like somebody could be totally opposite to what I am, but if they come out like for me, if they come off as arrogant or like I was saying, somebody who wouldn't even talk to you unless you were smart enough, then I'm like, okay, I don't care. I clearly don't.
I don't know. I find sometimes, like for me, the shifts just happen, and even if the character is a complete jerk, and I can acknowledge that, I'm like, this character is awful, and yet here I am.
Yeah, like for me, like I don't have that problem if both characters are jerks. Okay, like I don't know, like maybe we would have like a time traveling Anakin and Kylo Ren thing. Like that would
Someone
work for
is
me.
going to write that story now. I want
It's just
someone
like
to write
I
it.
don't know. Like, do they even time travel in Star Wars?
I'm not in enough of the tie-in novels to know. From the main universe stuff I've seen, no. Also, how dare you? Kylo Ren had such a huge screen presence in this latest movie.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. Like, they would have to be like on the same level for me to see it happening.
I don't know. This movie made a pretty good case for Raylo. I know some of my fans are going to be horrified that I would even mention that Raylo has any credence, but this movie made a pretty strong argument for it, I have to say.
Well, that's what's interesting, even in games or movies, is when you find two characters who don't like, who don't agree like, completely, or they're on two different sides, but you see like commonalities like between them, and to a certain degree, they can recognize it as well. I think that's what makes for a good character sometimes. Like, I don't really like black and whites either.
Yeah, no, I love nuance. I find that that's what I really need to ship. I need nuance. I need nuanced characters. If a character is one-dimensional, sometimes there are little kernels of stuff you can add to and maybe pull upon that make you more interested. But sometimes, like you were saying with the default male shepherd situation, sometimes you're just like, there's nothing. I don't care.
Yeah. Well, so yeah, like I was saying, I made like Femme Shepherd because for whatever reason, like that agreed with me. She seemed to have more personality than the male shepherd.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I tried like romancing everybody under the sun, but there's some people I just couldn't get along with. I think one of them was Miranda.
Yeah, I wasn't a big, like, I know Miranda's like the fan favorite and people love Miranda, but she was always so mean to me and I was like, no, you're mean. I'm not interested.
But the thing is, yeah, like I was interested in Jack because she was like kind of different, right? She didn't like it didn't look like she adhered to the norms of like, you know, the crew we were on.
Yeah. Not like Jacob.
How did I don't even know how that happened. Like I talked to him like 3 or 4 times and apparently he was like thirsty enough to try. And I was just like, hey man, it ain't going nowhere with Jack, might as well.
That's like me and Preston in Fallout 4. I just keep doing all of the side quests and all of the missions that he assigns me, and so every time I talk to him now, there's the romance option, like make this relationship. I'm like, no, look, I just like the side quests. That's all I'm
Oh no. Who did you end up romancing, if any, in Fallout 4?
In Fallout 4, I like Nick Valentine. I like the robot. I the concept of like, because he's so film noir and the old school detective thing going on, I just find that fascinating. I'm like, you're also kind of from another time because you woke up out of the pod and you're also out of place and he's out of place because he's like a synth and all that stuff. So I was like, I just found it interesting. I like it.
I think I did. I think I romanced Piper.
I can't deal with Piper. I can't do it.
The funniest thing though is like I was kind of a jerk in that like in that moment because I think I actually sold her like my wedding ring as well. I sold it to Piper and then I got with her, or I gave it to her or something. Like I put it in like in her inventory.
Why didn't you like 4? Because you were talking to me that you didn't like 4 that much. What didn't you like about it?
It felt okay. I think in 3 and especially New Vegas, you could be a little more nuanced, like in your morality than just, you know, good, bad. This was really like you clearly had a good way to go about things
and a bad
way to go about things.
Yeah.
That was the only thing. Like I think on later, replaying it later, I actually grew to like it a little bit more. I liked the, you know, the characters that were in the main city. Remember the one with all the lights and everything?
Yeah.
I liked all of those guys. I liked Nick Valentine.
Yeah.
It's like who doesn't like dog meat? Like,
Dog meat's great. He's the best companion. Like whenever I see people not pick up dog meat, I'm like, but why?
why? He's like clearly the best. He doesn't talk back to you. Nothing. And I think dog meat's the only one that doesn't die, right? Like he just passes out and comes back.
No, like they all like they just kind of you need to go stem pack them if they get hurt or whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm always more motivated with dog meat because it's so sad. Like he's sitting there like, oh no, and he's whimpering and making all the noises. I'm like, I gotta go save my dog. But if it's one of the like the actual human companions, I'm kind of like they can wait. This is my stem pack. I'm not giving it to them.
I think I actually picked dog meat because of what they did with him in the trailer. Do you remember that? He was like sitting by a cradle and there was like no baby inside and he was looking in.
No, I don't
And I
remember
was
that.
like, no. It was just like old like 1940s song called it was like I think it was called It's All Over. And then you see like dog meat like slowly walking into the house with his ears drooped. And he's looking, and he gets on all fours, and he looks inside this crib, and there's nothing inside.
That's too
Then he
depressing. That's too depressing. I can't handle it.
Yeah, then I think he meets your Vault Wanderer character, and then your Vault Wanderer character was like, all right, you ready, buddy? Let's go. And I'm like, yes, canon. He's the canon partner. Screw you guys.
It's official.
Yeah, so I went back and I liked Fallout 4 a lot more. I just didn't like it first time around.
Do you think that in gameplay, because there are so many options, especially in RPGs where you can pick and choose between different characters, do you think that alters how you view canon? Because I find like a lot of canon arguments, they come to us from books, from television, from movies, where there's like one straight line most of the time of this is canon and this isn't canon. But I find with games, because there are so many options of so many things that could be canon until I guess you get a sequel and then like Alistair's on the throne no matter what you did. So
well, the thing is, I was talking about Final Fantasy 15 before, but the girl relationship is so inconsequential where she sacrifices herself in the middle of the story and she still doesn't even become the most important relationship. So it's gone to the point where the developers are like, you know what, like now we're leaving it open up to you. Between these four boys, it's possible that a relationship starts. Now you take it from here. And it was kind of interesting to see actually like a developer like forego like an actual like heterosexual, you know, like the straight set romance.
yeah.
And tell the fans that, you know what, like anything you want to do like anything you interpret going forward from, let's say, chapter 6 where she dies, or 7, whatever it was, that's on you now. If you think there's something happening, you know, that's you getting involved in the game now.
Did you encounter any fans who really wanted it to be made canon? Like they wouldn't be happy unless it was canon? Or was it pretty much
Me?
just...
Well, when I finished that game, there was definitely like one thing spinning in my head, like in terms of what's the relationship going forward. It was one of the other friends. I think his name was Prompto, and what he did was he was kind of like the baby brother to everybody like in the group, and he was the one who was the least. He did not treat you like you were main character syndrome, you know?
Yeah.
Like you were all important and everything like that. So he could talk to you like using your first name, which is a big no in like Japanese media apparently. He could talk to you using your first name. He comes into your room at night and he talks about like his insecurities and all that. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like I saw it going. That's what I interpreted from it. Like after, you know, we got that pesky heterosexual romance out of the way. That non-romance.
I'm sure there's someone in the comments right now like crying like, I loved that romance.
No, there isn't a single person. It's just like I don't know. They didn't even get screen time together. Like in the main romance, like they talked about each other.
I sometimes feel
places.
like because the heterosexual relationships are so common, lots of times people feel that they don't even need to justify them. They're like, yeah, because straight relationship. It's like, no, you still need to write it. You still need to make it good. You still need to work with it. You can't just throw it out there and expect me to accept it.
Yeah.
Just no.
Yeah, no, definitely. There are some relationships that the game will present as a given where you're just like, this wouldn't work.
Yeah.
This isn't real life. This isn't real life, and that's why I'm letting it go. But like, it wouldn't work. Like, there are some people who you can tell are just going to be like so toxic for each other.
Yeah, you just wait
to the point where you're like, this isn't going past this game.
No, like 5 years, you're gonna watch the sequel game, and they're in divorce court, and like they're dividing up their assets.
Yeah, right. Or at least like it breaks the immersion for me when I see like something that just would not work. Like, it shouldn't even be working in the lore of the game. like even in games where there's strictly heterosexual relationships, I think I can see it if the developers weren't as afraid of trying something out of the norm.
And also like losing revenue too, because there would be some backlash, unfortunately. Like, there definitely would be some people who are like, I'm not playing this, not in my child-friendly game, and they wouldn't pick it up.
Yeah, and I remember... Oh, have you tried Wolfenstein 2 yet?
I have not, no.
Okay. Yeah, so like this game had only one relationship going forward, and it was a straight relationship. Like, it was between the main character, his name was BJ, and his girlfriend, her name was Anya, and they're like revolutionaries fighting the Nazis and all that. But they flesh it out. Like, they actually like take time out of the game to like tell you like why these two should be together, why they belong there.
Yeah, to make you care.
So that's why I was asking, like, if sometimes people can just ship something that's already canon.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, you can definitely be behind canon ships. Like, for example, the list that I just recorded and uploaded today, like half of the list was canon. Which is actually pretty rare, because lots of the times it's like, because lots of times people use fandom and fanfiction in particular to explore the what ifs, or like you were saying with that game, the what they wish had beens. But if the relationship is actually fleshed out enough that people latch onto it, then for sure, like, an actual canon pairing can be something that people want to expand upon. And I find that happens especially in games, because lots of times it's harder to strike the balance, I find, between taking those quiet character moments and just actual gameplay, because not everybody's interested in the quiet character moments. I know whenever I'm watching my husband, Kevin, you know who he is, but the viewers don't.
Okay.
I know it's my husband. But when he's playing, sometimes I can't watch him play, because he'll just start skipping past all the dialogue, and I'm like, Kevin, they're talking, they're saying things. He's like, don't care, skip.
So like I was saying, in terms of that particular relationship in Wolfenstein, I liked it because it's not always like peachy either, you know, like, because of the situation they're in. Like, this guy's like, okay, well, you know what, chances are I'm going to be dead. Like, I'm going to be dead soon because of this nonsense I'm putting up with. And he doesn't want her to deal with, like, loving him up to the moment where he dies. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he actually, like, distances himself, like, from her, and she's depressed now. So, and then they confront each other about it. They actually talk through it, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, now I'm invested. Because they get angry and they're wrong sometimes, which is kind of interesting. Like, this game wasn't really about that, but like, I appreciated that it took the effort to make it at least credible, if you're going to be invested in all that.
Yeah, no, I feel the same way. I feel like if a game is going to bother to introduce that a character has a particular relationship with somebody, I would like to see it fleshed out, or give me a reason to care, basically, especially because lots of times, especially in games, they'll want you to do sometimes like a side quest or something, like a side quest, save my sister, save my father, like do something for me. And if I don't care, I'm kind of like, yeah, like, why? I'm going to do it because I'm a completionist and I need to see what happened, but I don't care.
Yeah, I think there's nothing worse than introducing a canon, like, love story. Where you just don't care. Like, it doesn't matter.
I think that's worse than if you don't care, because I feel like there are different reasons why a person might care or not. I think it's worse when it just doesn't matter, though. Like, it's just there because you can see them sitting in the developing office, like, okay, action scene, check. Romantic love interest, check. Like, just going through the boxes. Like, they're just, this is what people expect. And so they just put it in there. Honestly, whenever I see that, I'd rather they just not have it at all. I'm like, I would rather have no romance than a half thought out, shoddy, no one cares romance, honestly.
I think my personal favorite instance of romance in a game, though, I think, did you ever play The Darkness, the first one?
No, I haven't actually.
Yeah. So it's about this like this mafia guy who's like a really big like he inherits the mafia on his 21st birthday and whatever, right? But there was one scene where you could actually like you go over to your girlfriend's apartment and you have your birthday there
Yeah.
and you're lighting candles and whatever, and you can sit down next to her and like on the couch and watch a movie, and you're watching the whole movie if you want. You can watch like I think it's To Kill a Mockingbird. You can watch like the entire however hours long it is, like with her like on your shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
And she'll make like a small movement here and there like she was on the couch, but you can watch the whole movie. That was like probably my highest point of immersion like in a game.
That does sound really interesting. Like that's an
Yeah.
extra level of detail they really didn't. Yeah, that's really
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, so like it really hurt me like when they killed him. It's just like we watched To Kill a Mockingbird together. How could you?
Our love was real.
Yeah, well, because I think that those 2 hours or whatever it was was more attention than they give to any like relationship in any other game, really.
Yeah, it
Like
depends.
that's
Yeah, it
how I
depends on
felt.
the game because especially in a game like that, because sometimes with the other RPGs, like you're building the relationship, so you have the choice. But yeah, in games where it's already presented, that is a lot of attention to detail.
But you can also, get up and not watch the rest of it. But when you can turn off the TV. But like I actually sat through the whole like to watch To Kill a Mockingbird.
Well, it's a good
It was
movie.
actually the first time I saw it too.
Oh, nice.
I think they set that up so that when horrible things happen later on, like you feel it, like you feel the weight of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like, by the end of that game, I was like, no, how could you?
I think there's something to be said for immersion, but I don't know about you, but I always feel like I never feel immersed to the point where I've forgotten myself, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
So like whenever I see, the standard articles like video games are killing our children and when they play the games they feel the violence and like all of that stuff, I'm kind of like kind of I don't know. I feel like there's always that
I think the violence
disconnect.
is. Yeah, sorry.
Like
I think the violence is so outlandish that they wouldn't even like it isn't even something most people consider.
I don't know, maybe we're just desensitized. Maybe we're really desensitized.
Yeah, like I don't know. Like we like grew up on like violent movies. Like I watched like T2 when I was maybe 6.
Oh yeah, back when
Then
movies were like actually rated R and things exploded and like all that stuff and yeah.
Yeah, right? And like I don't know, like I never considered doing any of that.
Yeah, I know, me neither. And I still find it gross when you see someone who's really horribly injured in real life or about to get really hurt. It's still
Don't you
really
just shrivel?
Yeah, it's still really horrifying. It's awful because it's real. Because I don't know, I feel like whenever you're taking in a part of entertainment, no matter how immersed you get into it and how much you identify, there's always that part of you, at least for me, although I know I'm not everybody, maybe some people don't feel this, but that always feels like it's not real. It's not real.
That applies to me for most games where I can just skim by on the fact that it's not real. But I played God of War 3 when it came out, and that was way too much for me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was like I don't know, it just felt mean-spirited at this point, you know what like there was no real quest. There was just like this vendetta and like I don't know, like nail ripping and like eye gouging. No, it's like sorry, like I'm not doing this anymore. It got to the point where I was hating the fact that I was playing it. So I was just like I can't do it. Like the characters suck and the violence is too much. So that's where I drew the line.
For me, I found a game that I thought was too immersive, and that was Skyrim.
Okay.
Which was, where you can do the first person perspective, which firstly I hate, but whatever, that's neither here nor there. And then you, like, the characters, you talk to them and it wasn't really a cutscene. And then you could spend all your hours of time doing things like tanning. Like, I'm tanning this hide. I'm making this sword. I'm doing this thing. And I was like, I can see why some people would really, really like it. If you're into that, this is going to be the best game of all time. But for me, I was like, no, I came here to quest and follow a purposeful story arc and be led in one direction, and this is too much meandering even for me. And I just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I couldn't
No, well,
do
that's
it.
the thing. Like Skyrim, I think suffered from this from this thing that it was so hyper realistic that when it didn't get realistic, it really like kicked me out, like in a way. Uh, there was something I don't remember, like I don't remember exactly what it was, but you could in some way like blind like a storekeeper and like rob him blind, and like you wouldn't lose any morality points on top of that. So like I don't know, like Skyrim was okay for me. Like I didn't fall in love with any of the particular characters, more so like the vistas though. Like I thought it was really nice to look at. And the characters once in a while had interesting things to say, but it wasn't detailed.
That was the thing for me. And because, I don't know, I guess I find the cutscenes more immersive and they make me care a bit more because they're more cinematic. For me, when they were just kind of talking to you and you could kind of angle yourself away and not even look at them if you didn't feel like it, then
Yeah.
I don't know, I just didn't find it as easy to connect. Speaking of like dating sims, like how do you feel about them? Because I really like them. I think they're great.
I love them when they're not hentai. It's just like that's when I love them. I love them. Well, like I was saying, Persona 4, 3, 4, and 5 are dating sims.
Yeah.
Half the game. The other half is like a dungeon crawling game. So like yeah, like the dating sim actually like builds up your relationship to the people you're fighting with. So they're more willing to help you out in battle. They'll take the killing bullet for you or whatever it is, right? So I like it when a dating sim has a little bit more than just a dating sim, like, or at least like in-depth characters. So they're not just like, you know, when you're playing the game, like a character comes on screen and there's a speech pattern and that's who he is. That's kind of what I feel about it. And I like that. And I like it when you're not like a god. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like where you can just say things and people will immediately like you.
Yeah, everybody loves you. It doesn't matter. You can just walk into a room and say banana, and they're like, "Oh my god, you're the best person in the universe."
Yeah, right. And I don't really like that. Like I like how you know what? Like let's face it. Sometimes people might not like you. Might not be like, you know, sexually interested in you because of your gender, your skin color, your whatever it is, right? Or you know the way you look. And that's not a knock on you, but
it's just their preference.
So some people just have their interests.
Yeah.
So I've run into a couple of games that are like that. You can kind of like model your own character, and that immediately shuts you off from like certain people who are not who just wouldn't be interested in you. And I kind of like that. It's kind of more realistic. Like they'll still be your friends or whatever it is, but like you know that's life. You're not going to sleep with everyone.
I feel like that needs to be on a t-shirt. You're not going to sleep with everyone.
Yeah.
I think it just kind of depends what mood I'm in, because sometimes I really like the more realistic dating sim, and sometimes I do enjoy just the standard, all these hot chicks or hot boys are here, or pigeons, if it's that one game, are here.
Oh, that hateful boyfriend thing?
Yeah. My next project is Dream Daddies, because I really want to play that.
Dream Dad. Oh, right.
Yeah,
Okay.
the dad dating sim where you're a dad dating other dads. I'm like, this game was made for me.
Is that a Facebook game?
No, it's on Steam, and it got really popular, I think, like earlier in the year, and I'm just waiting until Simone has like a really good sleep pattern so I can take the time to enjoy myself and play Dream Daddies, because I think it's going to be really entertaining.
How long do you think it is? A couple of hours?
Yeah, more than that. From the Markiplier Let's Play that was up there, like I think he played it for a good like 10 or so.
Ooh. Damn.
There's lots of choices. He was also reading it out loud to his audience. Maybe that added some time, but
I don't know about you, but I think like hot daddies are definitely becoming a thing again.
They are.
Just like especially like in communities, in fandoms.
They really are. Yeah, like I feel like maybe the fandom is subtly aging, and so it's like hot dads. It's fine. It's Kevin's time. Finally.
It's like, oh come on, he's not that old.
Yeah, but he's a dad though.
Yeah. I keep going back to this, but but your caretaker in Persona 5, he has like a massive like female fan base, and he's like 60, and he, like what he does for you is he sort of takes you in and he teaches you a little bit about like life and how to run his business, and he makes coffee and curry. Like apparently like that's a great combination to eat together, Coffee and curry.
I'm gonna have to try that now because those do not sound like things that go together to me.
Yeah, and everybody calls him that, like, curry daddy.
The curry daddy. That's so good. No, I definitely feel that dad kink is becoming less like taboo and a bit more acceptable, and just the appeal of the older guy, which I'm totally fine with. But maybe it's just because, again, I'm getting older. So, for example, when all of the discussions were going on about like Cole Sprouse,
Ooh.
he's so hot. I love Cole Sprouse. I'm like, I saw Cole Sprouse grow up on The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. He has been a child since I've been a teenager. I can't do this. Like, I'm like, intellectually, I'm like, yes, he grew up to be an attractive young man. But like, I just can't, like, I couldn't go stand outside of a hotel like some of these people are doing. Like, no.
But I think the case can be made that show is barely Archie, though.
It is barely. Well, come on. It is barely Archie. I'm enjoying it, but it's not Archie.
Jughead kind of wears his crown once in a while, and that's about it.
But I love his blog, his angry blog. Just like Jughead.
I just remember, I think it was in, like, first couple of episodes where Archie, like, takes off his shirt, and he's like, yo, I got all this working out of my dad's warehouse. Like, that didn't happen.
That was the first episode.
That's such nonsense.
He's a teenage boy. Yeah, like, hold on, let me get my 8-pack out.
Do you remember where like, I can't remember, but I know it was definitely in season 2.
Mm-hmm.
What they did was Mayor McCoy found out her daughter was on drugs. And, like, she just went into that random high school and just started busting everybody who was at their lockers. You remember that? She just, like, walked in and, like, with, like, a full, like, police force and just arrested everybody who was nearby.
Look, we're not here for realism. We're here for Riverdale. Two very different things.
Anyway, I think back to games.
Oh.
That was a tangent.
Most of these conversations are tangents, but that's a good thing. It's good. Fandom goes everywhere.
Yeah, but I think, like, if you're doing a relationship, like, okay, well, let's say you're making a relationship in a game.
Yeah.
On characters already based in some kind of lore, or who have had other games before.
Yeah.
What you want to do is, make it true to the characters. Like, don't get to a point where you're like, where you just change character motivations just because you feel that that these characters should be together as a developer, I think.
Yeah, I feel like that's the prerogative of the player, because I feel like as a developer, you should try and make your game as consistent as possible, and then as a player, if you want to be like, I don't care that he killed your father, I'm gonna put them together, like, that's on you, that's fine.
Yeah, like, I can't really put my finger on it yet, but, like, I know there are a couple of games where characters have done such stupid nonsense to me, and the game forced me to be with them when I didn't, or like forced me to put up with them when I know, like, for a fact I really wouldn't have. I would have been like, okay, well, you're toxic, I'm out, leaving.
No.
Again, probably like Life is Strange.
Well, like, sometimes I just wish that there was more time available, but I think they'd have to charge so much for the game I'm envisioning. Okay, you remember Heavy Rain? I really wish that there was a version of that game where, depending upon how you played it, the killer changed. Like, depending upon the clues you found and stuff, you could influence how the story went in that way, and so the killer wasn't always the same person. I thought that would be really... Yeah, like, I thought that would be really interesting if, like, you played it a certain way and it turned out in one version it was the dad or it was somebody else based on how you formed the story. I'm like, that would be really complicated and take forever and be so much programming and so much backstory. But I'm like, think of the replay value. That would be so cool.
Or they could have, like, I don't know. Well, when I played it, I was like, okay, it's definitely one of these people investigating because somebody here has access to police files. it was the cop. Oh, all right. Good to know. I figured this out 15 hours ago.
I actually have a ship from that game, which is so sad.
Really?
Yeah, it's the, like, Fox Mulder style, like, FBI guy who comes to help out, and his and his, like,
trips
partner.
Out, right?
Yeah, the guy who trips out. I tried really hard to not have him trip out. Like, I didn't use his powers as much as I could have and stuff, and he still tripped out. I was like, I was trying to save you, and you tripped out.
Yeah, but there was, like, cutscenes where he tripped out and they left you in the cutscenes, right?
They did, yeah. Like, you couldn't... I thought maybe there's potential if you didn't use his special gadget enough, like, maybe he wouldn't go full, like, OD, but the ending I got, he full on, like, OD'd, so...
Yeah, I think my biggest problem with Heavy Rain, though, was just the mobility. Like something was wrong with the controls. Like that they didn't really fix going forward.
For me, like, I'm not a great gamer. Like, I mean, just technically. Technically, I'm not the greatest, especially if I'm playing on the PS4 with a controller. So with Heavy Rain, when they re-released it and I was playing it, that was just my speed. I was like, yeah, he's so slow.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah. But again, like in a game like Heavy Rain, I think it needed to have like a focused narrative, but like plots were points where you can finish if you hadn't figured it out.
Yeah.
Maybe they could have done this thing where somebody else gets wrongly accused, and you come to that conclusion based off of wrong info or whatever it is, right?
That would be cool. I think that would be really cool. And then you would have all these different accounts of like, I only played for 13 hours. How is this person playing for like 25? I guess I better go back and like to make you more of a detective. I think that would be so cool.
Yeah, and the game doesn't even, like, it'd be kind of funny. The game didn't even tell you that you screwed up. It was just like, oh, okay, this is how it ended. All right.
I would actually love a game like that. Like, I think that people might get a bit mad, but I really like that idea a lot.
Yeah, like I know in certain RPGs, there's clearly like a good and a bad ending. But what I don't like about the bad ending is just it should at least feel viable to somebody. You know what I mean? Like I didn't want it to be like the bad ending where everything is screwed up. Like I don't really know how to explain it. Like I didn't want there to be such a wide gap between the bad and the good way to finish things off with characters or with a plot point.
No, I get what you mean by that.
Yeah.
I prefer games where there are multiple different nuanced endings, because sometimes I've played a game and you get to the bad ending and you're like, that was the bad ending? I thought that was the good ending.
Yeah, but the thing is, sometimes you can do everything right, or at least not wrong, like leading up to the bad ending, and then you get the bad ending because somebody else on the side did something stupid, and then you got implicated or whatever it is, right? Because something outside of your control was happening.
Well, that's what I don't
made it
like
to the
is
bad
when
ending.
there aren't enough choices. Like, for example, like there are only like, say, 3 options that lead to the good ending, or 3 that lead to the bad. So if you get even like 2 of those options, you're headed to the bad ending no matter what else you do in the game. Like, that's really frustrating for me.
Yeah. Did you ever play Resident Evil 7, the new one?
We got it, but it makes Kevin nauseous, so.
Oh, you got it for VR?
We got it for PS4, I think. Yeah.
Oh, well, okay, I'm gonna ruin it.
To go for it. I'm fine.
The game like sets you up with this one relationship, right? Okay, so your main character is at home and he's sitting there, doing whatever at a party or whatever, and he gets an email from his girlfriend who has been missing for 3 years, saying, "If you ever get this email, don't come for me." Well, then don't send it. And she looks like she's in pain or whatever, right? So he goes there and he tries to save her and whatnot. But I'm like, I didn't like this person. Like, I don't want to be there. So, okay, well, there's this other girl. Her name is Zoe, right? And she helps you like through phone calls and all that other stuff.
Yeah.
And she comes across as much more helpful than your actual girlfriend is.
Yeah.
Because your girlfriend turns into a zombie about as soon as you go into the house. You find her and she's like a schizo in a way, where she's like she can talk to you as a human.
Yeah.
But then she turns into a zombie and kills you and attacks you. And later on, going in the story, you actually find out that this girl had lied to you. Like basically, she told you she was on like an overseas babysitting job. And what she really was doing was like she was a part of like the Umbrella organization.
Yeah.
And she was like escorting like basically a bioweapon in the form of a little girl. And she was not telling you the truth right from the beginning of your own relationship.
Yeah.
But then at the end of the game, like you reach a point where okay, you have 2 syringes. One you're using on yourself.
Yeah.
One you can pick Zoe or your girl.
Yeah.
The game definitely wants you to pick your girl because when you pick Zoe, she dies immediately, like right after in the boat ride, and they're like, "Oh, congratulations, you screwed up," and you still have to play through the game, like with that decision you've made. Whereas if you go back and you replay the game,
Yeah.
and you pick your girl and you give her a syringe, even though I really did not want her, because like she lied to me. She's an expert like machine gunner apparently, escorting bioweapons to the U.S.
Yeah.
Like I really did not want to be with her, but the game forced me there. Like it's telling me that if you don't pick her, you're not getting any girl at all. Because I played with the other one and she died immediately, and so I was like forced to pick her, and like I was forced to go through an ending that I didn't care about.
Yeah.
Like, I was forced to be with someone like kind of sucked. She was kind of a crappy human being.
I sometimes wonder, like, whenever I hear stuff like that, if the developers are aware of that's a potential reaction that people can have, or if it's just, like, no, I like this pairing, and everybody will like this pairing. This pairing's good, right, guys?
I think it's because they set it up as your girl or your boy, and they expect that you're invested on that level with nothing else. You know what I mean? Like, but then, like I was saying, with Resident Evil 7, when I looked into it, I'm like, I don't really care. Just like I don't like you. Like I wouldn't. Maybe I'd be with you before, but when I found out you were lying to me, like.
So how much did that take
Sorry.
you out of the game?
Oh, all of it.
All of
Gone.
it. Done.
Like I was able to play the rest of the game. Just because I wanted to get out. I felt like like I've been doing this for 8 hours.
Yeah.
This needs to end. So I made it through to the end, but I felt I would have been much more invested if I was able to pick the girl I wanted to go with.
Yeah.
And it actually carried through to the end. But like, it's like why do I care?
Yeah. No, I get that.
It'll be like if you're asked to spend the day with two people, right? And then like that one guy is like a jackass, and you don't want to be with him. So obviously you pick the other one, right?
Yeah.
And somebody says, "No, you got to hang out with him. He's lonely."
Oh, it's like, oh, did you pick Jeff? Well, Jeff's not actually available.
we were only putting in that option to see how you'd react.
Yeah, like we didn't think anybody would actually pick Jeff, so.
Yeah, but I think a lot of people still ended up picking the girl I didn't want to pick.
Yeah.
Just because she's the canon girlfriend, okay.
I find for some people, if they're not in that shipping kind of mindset, or they're just, I guess, more accepting of the authority of the creators and the story that they're trying to tell,
yeah.
I find that they go along more with the canon ship, and then you kind of get that friction between people who are doing that and people who end up, wanting to explore other options, or actually going as far as to write their own fan fiction or fan art and stuff, and being like, why are you doing that? Like, the game already gave you your option. What is this? And then it's like, but the potential and all the other things.
Well, it's always fun to have an offshoot or like something you envision, right?
That's what I think too. Like, that's part of why I just love shipping in general. I feel like there's so much room. Like, because for me, shipping doesn't take away from the canon relationship. I'm like, that's still there, and if you enjoy it, like, more power to you, and it's there for you. But for people who don't, then they can still have this other fun avenue of things to explore.
I will say, outside of some of the games that I kind of mentioned, like, I don't know, the canon relationship is boring. It's so boring. I really don't care, because a lot of times the developers just sort of just go in the idea of like, wouldn't you protect your girlfriend? That's your girlfriend.
Yeah, that's I totally get it. That's the full extent. Like, you're the hero, and heroes save their girl, so you go do that.
Yeah, like Daisy and Peach and Mario. Well, Daisy and Peach are like so like exactly alike in the sense that their whole existence is just Mario like rescuing them.
Yeah.
That like why do I care? I don't.
Yeah, for me,
Like-
I
like the
actually
main-
could have played Mario without there being like I was rescuing anybody. I would have just, I'm like, I need to get the flag. That was my motivation.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and it was just like, if you're gonna make me chase like and rescue this person, make them interesting.
Yeah. Which is why, like, there's actually tons of shipping for those games, like Mario and Sonic and stuff like that.
Because they leave so much open. Because they do nothing.
Yeah.
They do nothing. They leave it up to you to do it. It's so bad in that game that people have to ship the canon relationship. They have to actually fill in the canon one.
Yeah, they actually have to give them a reason to be together.
And that's one of those relationships where I'm like, it wouldn't work. She keeps disappearing. God knows, maybe she's in love with Bowser and like you're kidnapping her.
That would be the best ending ever. Instead of what a crazy dream, she's like, why did you kidnap me?
Right? I mean, she spent so much time with Bowser, you never know. And then Luigi's being dragged along for this nonsense. Yeah, like there was like one thing where like if you ever played the Mario Special Olympics or whatever,
Yeah.
like, sorry, the Mario Olympics.
Yeah.
There was actually like parts of it that like zeroed in on his character.
Mm-hmm.
And like I don't know if he'd if he'd be a nice guy to be with, because there was like one thing where like Luigi won first place, and if Mario's in second, Mario will actually crush his foot.
Mario's jealous, so she better watch out.
See, that's how far we have to go to characterize some of these characters.
They're just their little extra animations they give us in other games.
Yeah, right. I don't prescribe to the idea of it's your canon girlfriend. Shouldn't you be doing that?
Yeah. I feel that happens a lot in all media, just the idea that that's enough investment for you, that will be enough to hook you on, that you'll just attach yourself to the archetype. And it's not enough anymore, not especially when there's so much media to choose from, that you do have the option of maybe going somewhere where it is more fleshed out. And if you could, then why wouldn't you? At least.
Right.
Yeah.
But okay, well, that was the thing with The Force Awakens as well. It was like the whole movie was a hunt for Luke, but to anybody who has only watched The Force Awakens, why should they care?
That's the thing, because it's like if it's their first movie, it didn't give you a lot. That's why, like, I remember there are people who are like, I don't like Rey, and then people got really mad. They're like, you're sexist. Rey's the first female Jedi. You need to love her. And I was like, well, she's not that fleshed out. I can see why some people maybe didn't like her. She's way more fleshed out now. But in that one, like, I think she's
fleshed out in Daisy Ridley's performance.
Daisy Ridley, I think, had a good performance, yeah, but she wasn't working with a lot in the first one. You know, it's like, my parents abandoned me. I want to matter, I guess. And that was pretty much it.
Yeah, I think, like, personally, my most fleshed out, like, relationship, like, two characters.
Yeah.
It's probably, like, Poe and Finn for me.
I love Poe and Finn. Poe and Finn are the best. I think that's why so many people ended up shipping them. Because, like, the relationship actually seemed to develop. And also with, I kind of like Finn and Rey in this next one more than in the first one. No spoilers. I'm not saying anything about anything, people. But just because in the first one they were trying that heavy-handed girl power approach, which I don't like. Like they were running away from stuff, and he'd grab her hand and try and pull her. And she was like, "Don't hold my hand." And I was like, "It's an emergency situation. I don't care who is holding my hand. We are running away from this thing. It doesn't matter." Because his intentions were always good. That was the thing. Like he was never trying to be a jerk, and he seemed like a nice character.
You know what they could have done with that, like the hand holding thing.
Yeah,
they could have made him slower than her.
Yeah.
So like he's like grabbing her hand. She's like, "Stop! You're slowing me down. What are you doing?" Like, that could have been kind of funny.
I think that would have been funny, or just like there are gentler ways to do it. Like, oh, you don't have to do that, or like stuff like that. It doesn't need to be so angry.
Yeah. Well, like I was saying, what I liked about the Poe and Finn relationship. Okay, yeah, I shouldn't have done that. Anyway, was that in about 2 lines you got all you needed from both of these characters, because Poe's like. Finn was saying something along the lines of, "Oh, I'm here to rescue you. I'm here to do so much good." Finn's like, "You just need to leave." Poe's like, "You just need to leave, don't you?" And he's like, "Yeah." And then Poe's the one that actually gives him like a real name. Like, "Okay, I'm going to stop treating you like a robot and be like, how about you use this name?"
Yeah. And it's a small moment, but it's such a big moment for what it means for the characters. And that's the thing. It's the little moments that might not seem like a lot on paper, that when they actually end up being fleshed out, they make all the difference. Whereas a moment like the hand-holding moment, I'm sure, was built up to be a thing, because you can tell by how they lingered on it. Whereas the Poe Finn scenes, you can tell they were just supposed to be like, "Oh, we shot these." Because remember, Poe was supposed to die. He wasn't even supposed to live.
No!
I know, right? Like, I would not stand for it.
I would sit for it. And also, I think when they reunited, I just like the fact that they ran to each other instead of acting all cool. They like totally lost their shit.
I know, and ran and hugged. And they're so good.
It's like, oh, so that was probably the scene where all the shipping started, to be honest. Like Oscar Isaac biting his lip too.
That lip bite was intense. It's the same like in Supergirl where Lena Luthor bites her lip super hard at Kara, and then there are people who are like, why are they shipping? I'm like, did you see the lip bite? Lip bite is like universal shipping fire.
Is it just me, or do I feel like Lena Luthor's about to get evil real soon?
If she does, I'll be okay with it because the show is paralleling Superman, but I also really like their friendship, so I kind of hope that doesn't happen.
I like the idea of breaking the mold. Like even in video games, you get a character who, you know, by all means would be evil, or under like a circumstance would be evil. But, you know, you can see like they're phasing out of it, but especially in some games, like I was saying, like in The Darkness, some people are just born into like these horrible circumstances, and they have these qualities that are almost trying to pull away from what they're born into. But everything just keeps like dragging them back. Like my Mockingbird girlfriend got killed. So like I was saying, just give me something to like pull me towards the game or the movie or whatever it is.
Yeah, just something to invest in.
Yeah.
Or even if it's just a kernel, because lots of people will build on that kernel. Not everybody, but there is a fair contingent that is willing to go along with it and build if you give them something to build on.
Yeah, it's like put it there just so people can, you know, be interested in. They have to write relationships in a way that nowadays, especially, that somebody would care.
One would hope, and especially if they're good. I find that's a really big problem too, and I think that might be part of why the canon relationship suffers so much, because lots of times the canon relationship is the idealized one. So, you know, it's good, you like each other, you love each other, but I find that lots of writers don't know how to write that, and so it just ends up being really, really boring, because it's this...
Or I feel... Or I feel like they just get lazy and expect you to automatically care, you know what I mean? Like, they're like, oh, that's your girlfriend. You should care. No. Well, first of all, I don't even like redheads. I get it.
I know. C+ game, redhead.
That review on Metacritic. Too many redheads. How did you feel about like what Mass Effect 3 did to all of the relationships?
I didn't mind. Like, I've seen how all of them end, and it really depends. I feel like some of the people got a bit gypped, depending on, like, you went for all this build-up and everything, and then not a lot of reward. Not that a reward has to be sex or a payoff like that, but just some of them I didn't feel came to fruition for all of the effort that you put into them, because it was such a huge part of the game. And then near the end, it just kind of felt like, well... Aren't you glad you completed that? Because it's over.
Yeah. Because I played Mass Effect 2 to its fullest extent.
Yeah.
And Mass Effect 3, but like I'm not sure about this. So every game that you do, you can romance one person, right?
Yeah, like you can romance one person. Certain people, if you romance them, will cut you off from other people. Like, for example, like if you romanced Caden because the game made you, like I did, and then in game 2 you romance Garrus, which was my choice.
Yeah.
And then in game 3 you will have the option, like Caden will show up again and be like, am I interesting? Do you want to be with me? And so like you have the choice of potentially going off with Caden and ending your thing with Garrus. And so you kind of have the option in between 2 and 3 to switch who you were romancing if you felt like it. But I didn't.
But do you feel like it would have been better if they had one narrative of relationship from Mass Effect 1 all the way to 3? Like, okay, let's say you do romance one person, guy, girl, whatever.
Yeah.
Do you feel like it would have been better if you had been locked for the rest of the games going forward, like in that relationship the whole way through?
I don't think so, because I don't feel like that would have been realistic, because I feel like the relationship should reflect a bit more of real life, and in real life you can break up with somebody anytime, any place, anywhere. So I feel like being locked in, I think would have made it really frustrating if you ended up hating the person, you know? Like, let's say you picked Ashley. Like, Ashley seems great, and you realize she was awful, and you're like, oh god, I have to play 3 of these games with Ashley.
Yeah. I think, honestly, that would have been my way to do it, to be honest. Like, I would have actually preferred just picking one person you like and then sticking with them throughout the 3 games.
But what if you had regrets? What if all of a sudden Tally showed up and you were like, I've made a horrible mistake?
Like, You gonna tell me nobody has any regrets in a relationship?
I don't know if I need that much realism in my game. Like I'm trapped in this
Yeah,
loveless relationship.
yeah. Like I don't know. Like I would. I don't know if I'm being a masochist, but I would feel like I deserve this.
What? Like, well, I made the wrong choice, so sucks
Yeah.
to be me.
Yeah. I only played like all of Mass Effect 2 and like most of 3, so
Mhm.
I wouldn't know about like the whole continuity. But yeah.
It's pretty good. Like I don't know. I didn't feel that gypped about the ending. I mean, like yeah, some of your choices didn't end up mattering as much as you wanted them to, but I don't know if they
Yeah.
could have without a massive more amounts of programming and stuff. Like when you're amassing a fleet and all this stuff, I'm like they're going to animate all your different choices. That's yeah. No.
Yeah. Also, the thing I've noticed about certain games,
Mhm.
especially if they're games that are like more like how do you say like more artsy, I'd say. They have a fan base that's more intense too that goes with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I find like I don't know, these days I find that a lot of fan bases are just really intense. I feel like fandom's just really intense right
Or
now.
I feel like games that are good but less popular, people get like intensely protective of it.
Yeah, I've definitely noticed that if your fandom is smaller or is maligned in some way, like people have something bad to say about it for whatever reason, people get real defensive and you see some pretty intense stuff.
Yeah, because I think I was telling you like off camera, but I was playing I bought this game. It was called Near Automata.
Okay.
I bought it, and you know what? Like it was whatever. Like I played it,
Yeah.
and you know what? It has this done like tried and done concept of eventually humanity is going to be taken over by robots,
Yeah.
and some big reveal is going to happen about humanity later on in the game. Usually that humanity doesn't even exist anymore, and it's been robots mimicking human behavior and whatever.
Hmm.
Like I didn't think it was all that great, but I played through it,
Yeah.
so I can hate it. No, like I played through it, and I think some girl on the fan page was asking me like why I thought it was a 6.5 out of 10 game,
Yeah.
right? 6.5 out of 10 is not bad.
It's still above average, so
Yeah, so I was just telling her that you know what I've it's kind of like the Terminator. It's kind of like any other sci-fi
you've seen
action
it before.
movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she's like, oh well, you know what? Like only she's like only mongrels don't understand this.
Shoot.
She was like, oh well, it's not my fault. You're a caveman. You don't understand nothing. And she was like getting so defensive, like to the point where, she started messaging me like privately and being like, "How dare you not understand this masterpiece of a game, you simpleton!" I'm just like, "Yo, relax." And I'm like, I didn't think it was bad, but like, if you don't think whatever their product is a 10 out of 10, there's a problem with you.
Yeah. I find that there's even an encouragement I find in the way people discuss things these days that to almost over identify with a product because there is an instinct when you like something to try to kind of draw something of it to yourself like oh it relates to me in this way, but I find that people these days are really relating to it to the point where if anybody says anything not even bad, but just, like it's not that great. It's a personal attack. It's an attack
Yeah,
on
yeah,
them. It's not just an attack on the thing. And sometimes it's not even an attack. It's just saying it's not great. But it's too much. And it's like a sling against them personally. And so they react accordingly. And I just feel like
yeah,
people need to take a step back because, yeah, like you were saying, like
yeah.
half the time it's not that serious. It's
Yeah, because
really
like I
not.
I remember with this girl, like she was like swearing and whatever, right? And like cussing me out, and I was actually just trying to talk to her, so I was still talking to her.
Mhm.
But apparently, like by listing some of the things I didn't like, I'd offended her enough to the point where she blocked me.
Oh.
I was just like, why? I liked it.
I
I
just
just
didn't love
didn't
it.
really like it. Yeah, and I was just telling her, like the action was good, the characters were fine, but it's just that the game is very plot based,
Yeah.
and the
And it's a
plot just
plot you've seen before. Yeah.
yeah, it didn't resonate. Like, sorry.
Yeah, no, like, and not everybody's gonna like everything. I find that people, honestly, though, it's probably a better thing that she blocked you than she like stayed and got even more upset. But I find that sometimes people overblock. Like, I've
Toxic.
seen that a lot where it's like, if you disagree, you'll be blocked. And I'm like, if I disagree that I didn't like The Force Awakens or whatever, I'll be blocked. Like, what? No.
Yeah. Yeah, no, just like, well, all right, but that just means I don't have to put up with your toxicity. I'm out.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so like I wanted to have a discussion with her, but like, she got like so irrational to the point where I'm just and I didn't end the conversation. I wanted to keep going.
Yeah. No,
To try and find some common ground.
Yeah,
but
because
then, like,
I like hearing if somebody really likes something and I don't like it. I like hearing what they liked. Same with if they didn't like something that I really like. I like to know. I'm like, okay, well, why? Like, I'm genuinely interested.
Because there are plenty of things that I'm into that I'm pretty sure a lot of people are not. Just like a lot of movies that have done horribly, like like audience wise or critics wise, that I buy into and it worked for me.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like I'm going to get offended by everybody who says it sucks or doesn't like it. It's subjective.
Yeah, I know. Like, I like Mr. Right. I know it's not a good movie. I don't care.
I was like, I think I went to see Abraham Lincoln like 4 times. Like Vampire Hunter. I went with you once. And then,
yeah, we went together. I remember.
Yeah, and then it was like 3 times with my mom, my dad, and my sister.
I've done that with movies too, though, where it's like, oh, you want to go? I'll go with you.
Yeah, right. Like you force like your mom or your dad to like watch. Yeah, actually, okay. What about like we've been talking mostly about like mature like M-rated games.
Yeah.
What about like shipping in like something for the younger base?
That
is there like do they do that?
That happens, and it's becoming more and more a point of contention because some people feel that it's just wrong. Some people feel that it's younger people getting into their first ships and that's okay, and some people feel that it's going to introduce children to something that's going to warp their minds. Like, there are so many different thoughts on it, It's hard. It's a hard one to figure out.
Because I saw the one you did with somebody else, and it was about like how the Steven Universe fans got so angry. Was it about a painting or something?
No, Steven Universe fans,
right?
They got angry because they're angry for a lot of reasons, but one of the reasons was because Steven was being shipped with Peridot, who's a gem of like at least very old, like older than him for sure. The painting one was the fan art thing where somebody drew Rose Quartz, who is in the canon a bit fuller figured, slim. And,
I get it.
And so people were accusing.
So it was like a size shaming.
Yeah, people were assuming the artist was like fat shaming, and so they bullied her to the point where she tried to kill herself. So
see, that's what I'm wondering. Like, okay, can you take a character and like, I don't know how to say it, like ship them by their looks, like actually alter their looks, but keep some of the qualities that they've maintained.
I personally think you can, but for some people it's a point of huge contention. I think it depends on what it is about the character that you're changing that they like, and the assumptions they'll make about why you're changing it, and also just how attached people are to canon in general. Because I remember, like, there have been times where, say, for the Vampire Diaries, where they cast Nina Dobrev, who's brunette, and in the book the character is blonde, and people tripped out. They were like, she's blonde, how dare you? Adaptation ruined.
But I think they do that a lot, like especially like if you watch the Marvel movies. I know you do, but
yeah.
But like I think when they cast like Michelle, everybody thought she was going to be Mary Jane. They're like, oh, what are we doing with a black Mary Jane?
Boo! Honestly, they should have been just like, what are we doing with this character who is mean to Peter all the time? And
I loved that, like 200%. Like she was just screwing with him.
I couldn't stand it because for me, like I like traditional MJ, and because I'm attached to that story. I don't care what she looks like. I'm attached to the idea of this girl who is too good for him, who is in this completely different world, like that he's not even a part of. She wants to be an actress. She's part of this frivolous world that he knows nothing about, and yet they end up together. Like I don't know. I like that.
I think that movie. Well, that. They could have just done the Michelle and Peter thing, like, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I know. I was like, well, if she's Michelle, because that's who she is, that's fine. Like, I would have liked her if she was a bit less woke.
Oh, okay.
Like, to me, I was just, I don't know, I felt like they were trying really hard
kind of
to
funny,
make her, like, relatable.
I just took her as a stupid kid, to be honest. So that's why it was, like, really funny to me. They didn't have to, like, insert that thing where they're like, oh, you call me MJ, because now you're associating her with a totally different personality.
Yeah, and now you've drawn the comparison where they didn't need to. Like, they could have just called her Michelle, and then her last name was, like, it started with a J, and then people would be like, oh, okay, so she's just, like, an alternate universe, like, version of this kind. Like, I think people would have made the leap without them having to spoon feed them, like, oh, it's MJ. Oh my god, that's a horrible... I can't make that gesture on camera anymore.
No, please don't.
Oh, shoot.
We'll Photoshop you right now.
It was supposed to be a spoon. The point was it was supposed to be a spoon.
Yeah, I remember that. Like, I don't know if you read it, but there was a statement by Kevin Feige. He's the Marvel guy.
Yeah.
And he's basically like, she isn't Mary Jane, but we want you to. We wanted to bring that up to bring up a context of the Peter and Mary Jane relationship to this pairing. You know what I mean? Like they use that name to bring it up.
I don't see why.
Kind of tell us where it's going from there.
He's gonna marry her, and then he's gonna sell his soul to undo their marriage. I'm looking forward to that movie.
But you know, there is one thing that annoyed me about this. We're on a tangent, but Spider-Man: Homecoming.
What
was that? This was Miles Morales' story, and it was just like Peter was in it. Like Ned Leeds. Ned Leeds was Miles Morales' best friend.
Yeah, like, I think it's because they wanted to give Peter an actual friend. Because if you go by Peter Parker's own canon, does Peter have any friends?
Is Harry?
I guess, if we wanted, but then you have to deal with that, and that's a lot to
deal with.
Harry
tries to kill him.
Yeah, you have to deal with a lot if you introduce Harry. I think why they picked Ned was because they wanted that quirky, kind of supportive friend character.
Yeah, but I feel like they put like Miles Morales' surroundings with Peter Parker in it.
I don't know. For me, it doesn't bother me because they do that with superheroes all the time. Like, if that bothered me, I couldn't watch The Flash because half of the villains are Wally West's villains. And then they're like, here they are for Barry Allen. And I'm like...
Oh, no, it didn't particularly bother me. It was just like an observation I was making, like, just in the middle of it.
I would love to see Miles Morales, though, because I love Miles, and I think he's great, and it would be really cool. And if the universe continues on for the 20 movies they claim they want to make, then we can definitely do Miles Morales.
Yeah, so like Call of Duty games and Marvel movies have become like so episodic in nature. Do you find yourself just like tuning out now, like in sequel games and like something like that?
No, it depends on if I'm invested in the universe. Like, if I'm as invested in, say, like as I am in the comics, or like, for example, the Mass Effect universe. That's why I was so gung-ho for Andromeda, and I bought it despite all of the bad press and all of that stuff, because I like the universe. So if I like the universe, then I think I'm part of the problem, because I'm just going to keep it going. So
yeah,
I'm part of the
thing
problem.
Is, I think with the games that release now, it's almost a different game after a year.
It is. No, it 100% is, with all the patches and add-ons and stuff that they do. Yeah. Because they know you'll buy it. It's such a problem. I'm not buying like new games like that anymore because I don't like how they're not complete.
Yeah. You would really hate Final Fantasy 15. Oh boy. Like that game, okay, it came out and it was complete, like the story ended and whatever.
Yeah.
But like every month they give you new free content.
I can't say anything. I mean, I played The Sims, and I have every single Sims expansion pack. So, you know, Sims Hot Date, Sims Pets. Oh, we updated The Sims. Here, buy Sims Pets again. So
I didn't even know I needed this.
I know, like, whoa, my Sim can be a vampire now? I'll never do that, but I think I need this pack.
Yeah, right? I think that's how they get you, like a lot of it. But yeah, I'm finding that games are becoming a little too like sequelitis. Like all of the big games that come out this year, it's like this year, Mass Effect Andromeda, that's a fourth game.
Yeah.
Wolfenstein 2, that's a second game, and Doom Million. Call of Duty, I don't even know.
Resident Evil 7, yeah.
Yeah. Resident Evil 7, that's in the numbered entries. Like you don't even want to get into like the side stories, like 30 of them. So yeah, like I don't know if there's anything new for like fans to get into anymore.
I feel like that's because a lot of times they want to guarantee that they're going to make it back, and so they bank on something that's going to have a built-in fan base.
Yeah.
And
the only thing the only thing that kind of works for me personally in Final Fantasy 15 and Persona 5's favor is that every new entry completely like destroys the lore in the sense that it's in a new world, new game, new universe, new everything. These are new characters. You don't need to go back and enjoy all the others.
Okay.
So there's always a new jumping on point for fans because there's nothing previously that would relate to this story. There's 15 separate side stories or 5 separate side stories. So that's what I feel a sequel should be.
I feel like a sequel, if it's going to be a traditional sequel, I feel like it needs to build upon what was there. It needs to build and expand. It needs to add something and respect its source. And but it needs to bring something new. It can't just be a sequel for the sake of being a sequel, which is kind of how I felt about Guardians of the Galaxy 2. I mean, I guess you could say it brought stuff. I know, the shade. Can't live in all the shade.
That movie was okay. Like that movie, you might as well have just have gone to like Dave Chappelle's block party. That's what it was.
Oh, come on!
It was just like
the one movie that
it was just stand up.
Why you gotta bring that up? The one movie that beat me.
Okay. Oh, sorry, my bad. No, but it was just stand up. That's what it was, right?
It was a lot of like one liner. Yeah. It felt like they cobbled together all the things they knew people liked from the first one. They're like, people like the dancing, people like the music, people like Baby Groot, people like sassy Dave Bautista. Let's do all of that times 100, you know?
I don't know, but you can't have enough of sassy Dave Bautista, though. That's like, that's such a cheat.
Is that his next movie? Sassy Dave Bautista?
That'd be amazing. Yeah, but that's such a cheat, and like I think it worked for me. That part of it, anyway. Because like obviously, the first thing you would ask somebody when they recreated themselves from a planet, you'd be like, "How big's your penis?" Like that's what you would ask. It's like, oh, at least that's what I would ask. That's what worked for me. Like, you know, just these characters, they're talking, they're weird, they're messed up. Some of them. Then the dancing. The dancing was fine in the last movie because it was the exception.
It wasn't.
It was like one thing that happened. At the end.
Yeah, because that was a really long extended sequence, and I love Yellow, and that song is great, and Baby Groot's cute, but that was a long extended sequence to have right at the start. My dad called me about it. He was like, "This Baby Groot dancing scene."
Yeah, right. Well, the thing is, in the last movie, it wasn't even really done for fun. It was just done to like throw off the villain for like 5 seconds.
And then it was a cute little addition at the end with with the Baby Groot tree.
And that was fine. I think they should have kept the tone of the Guardians going into the next movie. Because like even in a game sequel, they feel they're like, oh, bigger, better, more. And like, no, we like the last one just the way it was. It's like, we don't really need this.
But I actually have to wrap this up because Kevin's coming back with the baby. So thank you so much for spending time with me. And I think we covered enough and didn't tangent too much. And we will definitely do this again. And we'll put your name so that people can Facebook stalk you. And
yeah, that works.
All right.
I enjoy being stalked.
All right. That sounds good.
All right.
I'll catch you later.
Okay,
bye. Did you guys make it? I sure hope so. Let me know what type of games you like to play down below. And also let me know, are you the type of person who ships inside of games, or is it really not for you, not in that medium? Share all of your thoughts and feelings down below. Thank you as always. If you stayed all the way to the end, you are troopers for sure. It has always been fun spending some time exploring fandom with you guys. I'm looking forward to seeing you soon in even more videos. Bye-bye. This has been Shipper's Guide to the Galaxy. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Special thanks to all of my patrons, names on the side. Thanks so much for helping me make this increase in videos possible. Don't forget to join me on Tuesdays where we do the live stream, and of course stay tuned, for there are as many ships out there as there are stars in the sky.